tonight for dinner we are going to have Cajun Shrimp Creole. So here are my Gulf raw shrimp. You don't want to use cooked shrimp that you buy from the store that's frozen. Use raw shrimp, okay? If you have to, you can buy the frozen, but make sure that it's raw and not pre-cooked already. I'm going to use a third of a cup of unbleached flour, pure butter. I'm going to use a can of rotel, 2 cans of tomato sauce, and I like this brand because they have good ingredients in it. It's clean. No ingredients that are not unhealthy for you in there. Okay, and you're going to want your Trinity, which is, I'm putting 2 onions. I like a lot of onions. These are all my aromatics. You're going to do 1 green bell pepper. You're going to do 1 red bell pepper. I didn't have a red bell pepper, so I cut up these small peppers that I had, which were the orange, yellow, and red, and you can do that. And 2 stalks of celery, 4 cloves of garlic. You're going to need some bay leaves and some thyme. And you're also going to need some Cajun seasoning. I like Richard's because it has less sodium. A lot of people that aren't from around Louisiana know that Tony Chachere's is the #1 Cajun seasoning. I don't like it because they put too much sodium in it, and it's not healthy sodium. This isn't healthy sodium either, but they have a lot less in it, so that's why I use that brand. Or I will use Slap Your Mama brand, and their sodium is really, really light. But this has a very strong pepper kick to it, so I'm not using it tonight because we have our little granddaughter here, and I don't want to over pepper it for her. And I like to add a little bit of blackened seasoning in my shrimp Creole. So these are the ingredients you're going to need. And very lastly, you will be adding parsley to top it off and some green onions. I'll be back. To mention that I have about 4 pounds of shrimp. They're not all right here. I have some that I'm rinsing in the sink as well right now. I wanted to mention that the butter is to cook all the aromatics in. When cooking Cajun food, you're going to want to use butter, real butter, okay? Not margarine, not none of this fake butter, real butter. You can make your own real butter, or I prefer to get, when I don't make my real butter, I get the pure Irish butter. It is wonderful. So this is about equivalent to 2 sticks of butter, okay? And the reason you want so much is because you're going to make a little roux. It's going to be a white roux. It's not an original browned roux from Louisiana. You're just simply going to make a quick roux to thicken up the tomato gravy for the shrimp Creole. You're going to make the roux inside with the aromatics while they're cooking. Okay? So it's going to be white. It is not going to be brown. And it's only, as I said, to thicken it up. Okay, so I am now going to heat up my butter, which, like I said, it would be equivalent to about 2 sticks of butter. And you want a lot because you're going to have a lot of aromatics in there. And you need it for the little white roux that you're going to make the gravy thickened. So right now I'm going to melt the butter, and then I'm going to add in all of my aromatics, except the garlic. I'm going to add that in a little bit later because I don't want that burning, and I like the flavor that it imparts after everything is cooked down. You don't want to overcook your garlic. Okay guys, I have it on medium heat because I want it to heat up pretty quickly, and I want it to get a little hot, not to where it's burning my butter. You do not want to burn the butter because this butter will impart wonderful flavor into your shrimp Creole. Now guys, if you're not from Louisiana, there is shrimp étouffée and there is shrimp Creole. They are two different things. They're made differently. Shrimp etouffee, you would add some cream of mushroom or cream of celery or something to that sort to break up the tomato gravy. But in shrimp Creole, you don't add that. So there is a difference, and they both have a different flavor that they impart. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my aromatics, all of my herbs. Okay, look how beautiful this looks. So what you're going to do is you're going to let this cook down until they are tender. So probably about 20 or 30 minutes. It looks like a lot, guys, but I am making a big pot of it because we have a couple of our grandkids here and our daughter and myself, my husband, and of course Mama, which I call Ma, and she will be eating with us. I try to invite her over every time the kids are here so that she can enjoy family time with us as well. Okay, I am going to cover it just to give it a little time to get soft. So then I'm going to add in my thyme. And normally I just stick the whole thing in there, but I don't want anybody to have to be picking these out today. So I'm going to take the thyme off and just put it into the pot. And then at that time, when the onions get a little bit softer, I'll add my garlic. Guys, keep in mind and remember, you do not want to turn your stove on high. Okay, just be patient and let your Trinity cook down. You're going to want to leave some of that butter. You don't want it to cook out because you're going to push all this aside and you're going to add in your flour. Now, guys, if you're doing a gluten-free, you can use non-GMO cornstarch. You can use whatever you like. You can use arrowroot powder. You can use tapioca starch to make your gravy thicker. But I am using plain unbleached. I like to use the King Arthur brand of flour. So yeah, let's let this cook down a little bit, about 20 minutes. I'll be back. So it's been cooking about 15 minutes, and I went ahead and add my thyme. Now, guys, you are not going to substitute oregano or any other Italian seasoning or anything like that. You're going to want to use thyme. Real authentic shrimp Creole. If you go to New Orleans, here in Louisiana, they are going to have thyme in their shrimp Creole. Okay, so you don't want to substitute it. Now, if you don't have it fresh, you can use it out of your spice cabinet. So do you see how good this looks? I'm going to turn down the fire. And I'm going to go ahead and add in. I spaced it a little bit where the butter is right there. And I'm going to just kind of roll in the flour into the butter. Now remember, this is not your typical roux that you would make for gumbos and stews and whatnot. Okay, this is just to add a little texture and make it a little thicker to your Creole gravy. You can omit the flour if you so choose, if you don't want it as thick. But if you really want an authentic shrimp Creole, you're going to want it a little thick, and you're going to want that. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic. Remember, 4 cloves of garlic. If you do not like garlic a lot, you can use less. I do not recommend omitting the garlic because it is one of the main aromatics that give it its flavor. Okay, so you don't want to omit that. And you can just go ahead and start cooking that in there. And now at this point, you're going to add in your tomato sauce. Now these cans are 15 ounces, so you're putting 2. Okay. and then your can of rotel. Some people make this recipe and they do not put rotel, but I do. And in New Orleans, if you're going to eat an authentic shrimp Creole, trust me, they're going to have rotel in it. Look how thick, look how beautiful this looks. And what you're going to add now is 2 cans of water to this, okay? You're going to rinse that out of each can and add it into there. Guys, so here is where you're going to add your seasonings. Now, there is no certain amount of seasoning. You're going to measure this with your heart, okay? You're going to put a little bit of blackened seasoning in there. Some people do not put that. I like the flavor that it imparts. And then you're going to put a little bit of your Cajun seasoning, okay? And this is the consistency that we're at this moment. You're going to let this cook down for about an hour, probably about an hour on a simmer, on a low simmer. Not real low, but I guess on a medium simmer, okay? Because you don't want it to cook down too much because you're going to be adding your shrimp, but you're going to want it to get a little thicker. Now, the shrimp are going to be added in last because you only want your shrimp to cook anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how you like the texture of your shrimp. I'm going to do mine for 10 minutes. Okay? Now, at this point, we're going to add the bay leaves, and I am adding 3. I'm going to cover it and let this simmer for about an hour. One more ingredient I forgot to tell you about. I use pure cane organic sugar, and you're going to want to add about a tablespoon into it because it kind of breaks down that acidity of the tomato sauce, and it just brings the flavors together really well. Right? It's been cooking about 20 minutes now. As you can see, it's gone down some, and I went ahead and added some more seasoning. Yes, here in Louisiana, we add a lot of seasoning. The more seasoning, the better, because that's what gives it all its flavor. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let it cook down some more. 10 minutes later, I'm going to go ahead and add my cayenne. Now remember, I'm not adding a lot. Normally I'd put about a tablespoon. And I'm also going to put some black pepper. For about 45 minutes in. And every once in a while you're going to want to stir it because it could be sticking at the bottom due to the flour that we've added. And you don't want that to stick. Now remember, this is not on high, it's not on medium, it's on like a low simmer, or kind of like a high simmer, I would say. But it's bubbling. And we're going to cook it a little longer, and then we're going to go ahead and add the shrimp. Okay, so about 45 minutes into cooking your gravy, your Creole gravy, you're going to want to start your rice. And this is my rice. And I'm old-fashioned. I do it in a pot. And I kind of measure the water like this. All right, so that way your rice will be ready when your food's ready. So when I was cooking my shrimp Creole, I accidentally deleted the video where I added the shrimp. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add the shrimp in after your Creole gravy has been cooking for an hour, okay? That's when you add your shrimp in, and then you let them cook for about 5 minutes. Then you put in your parsley, and then you let them cook another 5 minutes. I like to let my shrimp cook, as I said, for 10 minutes. All right. This is the time where you're going to add your parsley. And just stir it in there. And your shrimp Creole is done. So you will serve it over rice. And I'm fixing to fix our little granddaughter a bowl so you can see it. Okay, and here is what your shrimp Creole should look like.